do 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 do. Okay. So, it's been about 2 months now since I've started working on the game, on my game, and I don't know. Thought we would talk a little bit about where I'm at, but before I do any of that, I went thrift shopping. It's my Instagram. This is me. I'm very into body modification. And I found a super old, from 1930s, a whisker, an electric whisker. It's wild. But importantly, I found this thing right here. I wish I could make that like look bigger. I just like my own thing. I wish I could make that look bigger, but yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself, I think. Can I there's never an easy way to zoom. Never is there ever an easy way to zoom. Hold on. Look at it. It says, I'm not fat. My brain's so big, some of it slips. It's pig butt and beer. But look at that, dude. That's in my kitchen now. Someone made that. Whoever made that has the same brain as me. Okay. Now on to the other stuff. So I'm going to skip the child home section since there's nothing new to talk about here. I do have like a to-do list still. What is my to-do list on here? Fix up the shading, color, and the lamp. Oh yeah, I always forget the color of the lamp in. But I need to redo the shading a little bit here. But that's about it for that section realistically, as it stands. Now, I wanted to have this month, I wanted to finish Act 0, specifically Act 02, which is this whole section. But there's a lot here, and I don't think I got enough time to do that unless I work every day on it. But I have been sick, allergies have been bad, stress, just life, you know? So now this is almost done though. Right now my goal is to get this section, which is a big section that teaches you a lot of stuff, right? It's going to have the battle, which is going to have the little tutorial teaching you how the yin and yang system works, how a battle system works. I got to remember for some reason I didn't, when I exported the image into RPG Maker, I forgot to add the entire thing. So there's just a little missing bit. That's funny. I got most of the whole Act 0 is like a tutorial section. It's just like a bigger tutorial section, right? It's gonna introduce you to a lot of stuff, a lot of like lore and background of the world that you're in, and the battle system. It's gonna introduce you to the hub and like the quote-unquote firekeeper, you know, all that kind of stuff, and then it's going to introduce you to like how some of the world works, you know, like environmental interactions and of course environmental deaths. This section here doesn't have an environmental death, and I don't know if I want to have one. I could definitely have like a little raccoon come out and eat you. That would be fantastic. Like if you do the wrong thing, like, oh, maybe I shouldn't go over there. Then you go over there anyways, and then you get eaten by a raccoon. I could do that at the very end, just to really fuck with, because you can't go here until like right now it's still blocked because it's just the image. But after the boss fight and you go to the hub, then this area is going to be accessible. There's going to be like a little car here because you've been living out of your van. The van's going to get destroyed. You're going to have to go on foot, la la la, all that shit. You know, the reason to walk around the world basically. and you're gonna have to go get an axe. There's gonna be a little broken bits from the log from stuff getting messed up from the boss fight. Obviously, it takes up a little bit of the world. So I have like, I'll probably have this tree broke or something. I don't know. I have some kind of thing broken, and there'll be some logs there. And you're like, oh, I got it. How am I gonna do that? I need something to cut it down with. It'll suggest that. And then over here somewhere, you'll pick up a rusty hatchet, which will be a weapon, which will make your attacks a little bit stronger, but also it'll allow you to do that, to chop that down. So I'm close to everything I need. I just gotta figure out, like, get some of the outlines for the hub, and then I think that's pretty much it. Just getting this little section done in terms of like the functionality of it. And then it's just finishing the art. Like, obviously this whole area is undone, so there's, like, I gotta get at least like the most of it done to feel comfortable moving on to act 1. So now to talk about the meat of things that have recently changed, I guess I'll go into it and explain. First and foremost, I have, and hopefully you can hear me all right. I hope the music that we're listening to isn't too loud compared to me. Should be fine looking at the thing, but it doesn't mean anything. OBS doesn't know. The communication between me and OBS has never been good. But you get what you get, I guess. So, first thing I have introduced is when you enter worlds or areas, at least the first time, and I'll figure out when the appropriate time to add more other versions of it in, is the title of the area, right? Give it some identity. So this just says beach for now. I'll figure out a name for the beach and all that later on. So the other thing I have done is I have changed how this works. Originally, I had it as a whole save bench, and then I wanted to. The bench was just a little bit too much. I was like, well, I'll draw a different bench. And then when I was looking at it, I didn't like it. And then I started thinking about the like design logistics, and I started getting stressed out. And I was like, you know what? There's no reason I have to have a multi-part setup here. I don't need to have like multiple things built into one essential, what is a bonfire. So I just brought it all down to just be this one singular garbage can with your journal, which I redrew, which I need to remember to add the new drawing of that onto the into the other world, your child home section. But I have just changed it to that. I reshaded it a little bit, like fixed up the outline or whatever. But it's essentially still just a garbage can, but now it's just better this way, you know? It still kind of like fits the vibe, and also there's a lot I could do with that. That actually, the decision I realized today of doing that is going to play a big part in the overall lore of the game. So let's move on. Let's move on to here, get through all this text. So the second thing I have decided to do that is a bigger thing is I have decided, as you can see, to let the map scroll. Before, I didn't want to do that because if I zoom in, if I bring everything closer in, it doesn't look as smooth as I want it to look. I have been designing this to be at 1080p by default. And I swear, I want to keep it there. Like, I know there's like window mode and all that, but that's how I'm designing it. It's what makes sense to me, so it's what I'm gonna do because it makes sense to me. And I was like, this is it shows a lot by doing that. And then I was like, well, I could introduce, because I already have a fog system, right? Like as a layer, just for like the design of the worlds or whatever, and to give it like that painted feel. And I could just, do it like how they do in Fear and Hunger 2, where it's just covered up. And I was like, well, I could do that, but then I would have to redo this entire section. Well, that's not actually true. I would just have to make it larger so that when you scroll over here to the swine station and stuff, it still scrolls so that you could see it and go up to it. And I could do that, but then I was walking around here and I realized in this little area in particular makes it really show off to where it kind of has both of the things. It has the map being static and the map being scrolled. That won't be true for all maps. This is still a smaller area, but something about that does what I wanted it to do originally by having static maps. You know, like in vein of like Resident Evil 2, where it feels like you're watching yourself, except that this feels a lot more like that. And it still keeps immersion, but it still has that what's really happening here kind of thing, you know? Because it feels more organic, like an eyeball. And I like that. So that's the second biggest thing that I have done, other than just kind of, obviously I post little updates here and there, like working on the gods and all of that, and lore. But for the most part, those are the two bigger things, you know. Everything else at this point is just getting the eventing done for like, I guess the outline of the eventing done, and then like for this whole section, all the sections. And then it's on to design, and design is going to means the drawing of everything, but it also means like the changing of environments as well as the tutorial. Oh, another thing, speaking of which, so originally I had it just in the little description area down there. I had the whole thing, and I was trying to fit it all in, and I was like, ugh. So what I have decided to do is that all of these memory items will now be clickable, which will give you a larger description of them. Right, so like here now it says mother was never the same after what happened to brother ... and then use to learn more, and then it pulls this up, and this whole screen pauses everything, so that's just worth noting, I guess. But it gives you all this like extra lore. I gotta fix it up a little bit, of course, but that's not important right now. Important is that it's present, and then, you know, make it look good later on and everything. But yeah, so now you have that, and then the outline eventing thing is like, I think it's the funnest stuff to cover. Oh no, I forgot. I forgot about the that's not important. I put the parallax out, or the layer map with the baby on it, like this, with his head on. So now this got two heads. That's don't worry about that. None of that's important right now. So then you go into the fight, which the fight needs to be, obviously I need to elongate some of the limbs and everything. And this is a mandatory death fight. I don't know why I did that. Doesn't matter, I die anyways. So we're just gonna go through the motion of getting beat up real quick. At least it gets some damage in. Giant baby thing. Making the sound effects for this guy is gonna be so fun, bro. Okay, so then we go... Oh, it's got the cutscene. I can't skip the cutscene, so we're just gonna watch it again. Alright. And then it brings us to the hub, which I'm obviously still working on. So the hub is gonna be a hub. And originally I had wanted to design it a little bit more similar to like how it is in Dark Souls. But I have opted for it to be like this. It's fleshy. Like, this is skin. I don't know how obvious it is that you're walking on skin. There's some pimples. I might like try and have it so the pimple pops when you walk by, but I'd have to draw it in a different spot. But if I was smart and I didn't draw that directly onto, I probably drew it directly on the skin. I probably didn't do the smart thing. Anyways, but I had a dream, a lucid dream one time that was terrifying. I was in heaven, but it was terrifying because it was lucid and I couldn't get out of it. But there's all these pink clouds that we lived on basically, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So I was like, well, I'll kind of like, that seems like a good thing to do. And then like, instead of it being sky in the back, it's blood. So it's just because, you know, the tone of the game. And then you're gonna have all these little things that'll warp you to like the different areas and stuff. And they'll get like turned on and turned off as the game goes. So make it congruent, right? But you will have, because some areas shouldn't be accessible, because while this is inspired by Souls, inspired by Fear and Hunger and everything, it is also inspired by Clair Obscur, and it is story driven. It is just story driven, and also one of those kinds of games. You know what I mean? And this whole little area over here later on, you can't actually access that. So what's going to happen is eventually you're going to get an ability kind of thing, a transversal ability or something. I don't know how we're going to go about that, but it'll matter later on. And basically you will explode into meat and then re-implode into flesh as like a teleporter thing. So you can go back and explore other areas. It'll also open up the hub, which will of course be built in general with NPCs and warps and all that stuff as you find areas and you find NPCs. So I think that is about everything that there is right now, but it doesn't seem like a lot, but it is, because you gotta figure things out. Figuring things out is difficult, and drawing things takes a long time. And then, you know, things change and you gotta go back. Like, obviously, I still want to like pretty up this area a little bit, even though you're only here for like a second. You'll be here later on. But, you know, I gotta like do shadow and everything on the ground for like the garbage can and like all of that, and some little sandcastle here, and just, you know, the shadow for garbage can regardless of where you're at and everything, and you know, all that kind of stuff. But that's polish. That's polishing. The most important thing right now is eventing, getting all the eventing done, because then you could like do all the other stuff on top of that to an extent, right? Like this spot, you fight the boss, the design and the inventing kind of go hand in hand in this area, because it changes. Right, and so in order for the eventing to make sense, the map has to be different. So there's that, but like making it all look pretty and everything is not the first thing to do. The same rules with all of this stuff. It's just that these sections, these parts of of Act Zero were smaller. There is a lot going on here, but it's still overall smaller. There's less going on here technically, but there's more to experience. Does that make sense? And it's wider and more complicated stuff, like having an animated boss, changing the map, and you know, the swine station, the hub, which is an important thing. It's going to be throughout the game, and you know, the swine station is going to give you like a tone, because like it's pretty fucked up, but it's got to be fucked up, right? Like, this is Southern Gothic and dark fantasy. Like, that's the kind of the point, is exploring fucked up shit. So the freak, you're gonna report him after you kill him, I guess, and the pig's just gonna be a fucking narcissist. The swine. And then like eventually, okay, check it out. I think what I'm gonna do with the swine guy is I think that I am gonna have him. I think I'm gonna, here, I'll click on a play so that you have something going on. But I think I'm gonna have him be a like recurring character, not a likable one, but a recurring one, and then eventually he will be a boss, maybe an optional boss, but he'll be, maybe not, who we'll see as the game develops. But it'll be like the whole map will be his body, and that's how you do the boss fight instead of the regular kind of fights that you have like in the battle system, the turn-based thing. I think that'll be a cool thing to do. But I do think that is most of everything. I do feel good about changing how the camera works. I was debating it so much that I had to make a decision, you know? And I feel like this is the only decision that made sense. So I'm trusting my gut on that one, and I'm sure as the game develops, it'll show that it was a sensible decision. And again, like, I could widen out this map. I could just make it a bigger map and have it so that it doesn't do this thing. But I feel like I would be a mistake to undo that. I think it needs to have this kind of aspect at times in the game where, like, there's like not necessarily like a disassociation, but it does kind of play with your head a bit. And I think that that's important. I think that there needs to be an organicness to the camera, you know? But yeah, that's where we're at now. So I hope, I don't know what I hope, but this is 1 month, 2 months into my first game. Here's to many more and a lot of fun, because well, it's fun. And here's hoping that when it eventually releases, that people like it. I don't know how to market myself, so you guys that are showing up here and catching these videos and everything, I do greatly appreciate you. You are appreciated. And you know, lots of sensitive subjects and everything in this game, but that's the vision, and that's what I want to do. And if I did anything less than that, it would suck. So that's it. That's it. Bye.